Welcome to another episode of Pit Lane Parlay. I am your host, Mike Jokum. Hickey joins me. Shannon may or may not join at some point. I know she has a lot going on personally, so she might be here, but I have not talked to her in a few hours, so it might be like a mid-episode surprise. Otherwise, you're stuck with our two ugly faces for the next, I don't know.
Very weird. This is very throwbacky.
Yeah, it's throwback. So, but before we dive into everything that happened this weekend, I have a non-racing question, but it's sports related. So I have a good friend of mine from college who says he grew up a Red Wings fan. Now he's rooting for the Oilers because he wants to see Connor McDavid win a Stanley Cup. Is this acceptable in sports fandom to just start rooting for another team?
It depends on the situation. So I guess on this subject, I'm a little biased because I also love McJesus. So
yes, likewise.
He is my second favorite player in the league behind Kirill Kaprizov. So in that sense, I think that's fine, especially since the Red Wings are out of it. You got to do something to get you motivated for the remainder of playoffs, whether you're like sports betting or just hitching your wagon. And he's not even necessarily rooting for the Oilers. So if you're just rooting for an individual player, I think we can allow that.
Okay. Yeah. As long as at the beginning of next season, you are rooting for the Red Wings. That's at the start of the year. However unlikely it is that they'll win the Stanley Cup, I think it's acceptable as well.
Kind of lame that the Oilers lost last night. But yes, I think it's also okay for you to root for the Penguins for the whole playoffs if you want to.
Nope. I will be rooting for Florida, not Pittsburgh.
Oh, because of Drew?
Yes.
You could be rooting for the Rangers for Jeff.
I would be okay with the Rangers winning because in addition to Jeff being a Rangers fan, my dad is a Rangers fan. So family, sorry, no offense to Jeff, but family greater than symbol Jeff.
Oh,
but,
no.
Yeah.
Hitting the hard truths early here in the episode.
Yeah. But I did see the Jeffs this weekend. I walked almost a mile to see the Jeffs on Saturday in 90-degree heat.
I did see that. I was just checking. I was trying to find your go enjoy your day tweet, and I didn't find any. But I did see you say to Jeff, "Don't tell me what to eat," when he said to come walk this way, which is a very Jeff response. So,
yes.
Well, why don't you talk about that? How was seeing people that you enjoy and Christian? How was that?
It was a good weekend. It was fun to catch up with some people that I hadn't seen in a while, friends around the track. And I mean, Barber is such a beautiful facility that it's really nice to be there. The new media center is in a horrible location, so it's kind of a hike to get anywhere around the track, but I'm not going to complain that much about that, unlike some other people, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah. But it was still, you know, it was a fun weekend. I went to speaking of sports, we all went to the USFL game Saturday night, which was an experience. I did not stay till the end of the game because I was with Kevin Jajewski, and we had both been up since about 6 a.m. And by 10 o'clock at night, I wanted nothing more than to go to sleep. So it was an experience, though. It was very interesting.
Any rules
but
that you
we're
like?
Not a flip.
Oh, sorry, I gotta ask.
You know, I really you can go for like a 3-point conversion in the USFL, right? Like they have like the weird rule. It's like I know you can go for like a 2-point conversion, like at the 2-yard line, but I think at the 10-yard line you can go for like a 3-point conversion instead of kicking an extra point. I wanted to see that, did not see that. Mainly because the quarterback play in that league is horrendous. Like Mike Glennon would be a superstar in that league.
Oh,
Shout out to Jeff for that one.
Yeah, it can't be that
bad.
bad.
It's real bad. I mean, it's painful. And the other thing, not that we're a football podcast, but and I'm far from as knowledgeable in football as like you or lighting, but the play calling is terrible. It's either run up the middle, pass, a short little out route to a receiver, or like maybe once in a while they'll take a shot and the quarterback will overthrow him by 40 yards. So there was a lot of first down runs that went for 1 yard.
I didn't realize Matt Nagy was coaching.
Yeah, Matt Nagy and whoever the Giants coach was last year were the
Joe
coaches.
Judge.
Joe Judge, yes.
Anyways, so other than the media center and the Jeffisms, was it good?
It was a fun weekend. It's because of how spread out everything is. It's a really exhausting weekend, but the place is beautiful. There's a Buc-ee's across the street now, which I had never been to before until this weekend. And
for those who don't know, and I'll admit, including me, what is Buc-ee's?
Buc-ee's is like a convenience store with some clothes that you can buy, with an alcohol section, with a beef jerky station, with a fresh breakfast and lunch food section, with a coffee bar, all mixed into one, with like 800 gas pumps outside.
Okay, so for those stuck in Minnesota and Wisconsin, shout out Lighting if you're listening. So basically like a quick trip for us up here.
A massive quick trip, yeah. Yeah,
quick trips are pretty small, but you can go and get glazed donuts or spotted cow or a pineapple.
Yeah.
So well, that's good. I do need to get to Barber at some point in my lifetime. I don't know when that'll be, but one day. I do like that it's in April. Hopefully the weather's not. You said it was like 90s in April. Ugh.
Friday and Saturday were pretty warm, like mid 80s maybe, and then obviously Sunday it like downpoured in the morning, and then it was beautiful by race time. So it was kind of a whirlwind of a Sunday, but yeah, it was pretty warm. It was the warmest I can recall in the times I've been there.
Yeah, I mean, we just cracked 50 degrees for the first time today. The second time, but we had a 70-degree day, and then the next morning it was 38. And then they got up to 40 that day. So we are now kind of out of the Minnesota winter. Thankfully, it'll be
heat wave.
I know we're getting 70 degrees next Tuesday, apparently. So, and that's it. Like we didn't even get a spring. It's like 60 degrees all the way up to 70, and then it's going to be 90 by Memorial Day, I bet. All right. Well, the race. Hey, we are a racing podcast. Let's see. Well, Pato Award won. So congrats, Pato. Had a great outlap, in-lap on the final stint to overtake pole sitter and most laps led in the race, Rena's VK. We will talk about that in a second. Alex Palou did overtake VK for P2. Will Power, I'll go ahead and say, was my driver of the day, from 19th to 4th. Very well done after... Was it just a kind of misqualifying? Did he have an issue? Was it just a case of getting caught out by a red flag? Was he just missing his lap and went off, or did he cause a red flag, or what happened?
None of the above. I think he just didn't have the pace. I don't think, they didn't really show him on the screen at all. But I just don't think he had a good I think his flying lap on reds just wasn't that good.
And then Scott Dixon P5, which Jake Neely of Buy Insurance from Jake Neely said he was washed up. So that was funny. Right. Because, when you qualify 13th and finish 5th, you're washed up. Although
washed up.
Had he qualified 5th and finished 15th, we'd just call him Marco.
Oh. So that man has a family.
Yeah, I do like Marco, though. That was more a dig at Neely. So Pato winning, made some sort of comment in Victory Lane along the lines of, it's better to do this when you're not having a war on the inside, or something to that extent. We've talked, obviously, last episode was sponsored by Earl McLaren SP. What did you make of those comments and the fact that, we were talking after St. Pete, like, oh boy, like, this is trouble. He's not interested in F1 anymore. He might be jettisoning McLaren after one race. I've already made up his mind. Now here he is winning a race. Very strong since that moment. I mean, Texas finish wasn't good, but had a pit stop issue. But he's P5 in points now. So what do we make of not only his comments, but now looking at where he is in the grand scheme of things?
So I think I want to correct one thing, at least that I said. I thought Felix was under contract for next year. he is most certainly not under contract for next year. And
Ooh, that was
judging
me.
by,
I said that.
okay, well, shame
Well,
on
you
you.
can, yeah, as I say, you can make fun of me now. Now that you know it wasn't you, you can go ahead and rag me out. It's fine.
Idiot.
You
But
did that so well.
so after the race, somebody was asking about Pato's contract, and they said, "Well, what about Felix?" And Taylor Kyle gave a very, we'll see how the year's going, very non-committal answer, which is definitely not a good sign.
No.
But we'll save that for another day. Pato, I know the contract issue was weighing on him. We talked about it on the media bullpen episode that came out on the weekend. Also, I talked about it with him walking to the grid before the race, I think. And it was like, I just was in my own head a little bit too much, and that affected me on track because I was pushing too hard, starting to doubt things, et cetera, et cetera. That mental side of sports that gets really difficult for somebody to handle, especially when they're, what is Pato, 23, 24, something very young. But it's good to see the contract stuff heading in the right direction. It's not 100% signed, but I don't think either of them, either the team or Pato, are all that worried about it at this point. And yeah, I think now that they've gotten past the difficult part of that, they're a championship contender.
Yeah, now that I know the Rosenquist side, I hope they dump him. I mean, he was fine in qualifying. I think I think they said it was the first time both McLaren cars have gotten into the Fast Six in the same weekend.
Yeah.
And, well, at least with this combination. And he looked fine. He had the pace early, and then for whatever reason, that last stint, whether it was fuel save or tires were just terrible or setup went away or whatever, his last stint was horrible. So he ended up 16th, despite kind of running up near the top 10 for the most part of the race.
Yeah, he was top 7 or top 8 for the most part.
Yeah, so that's discouraging. And when you hear Rossi's name being all but sharpied into that one of those seats, whether it's a third seat or replacing Rosenquist, and the Jeffs confirmed that Felix does have the best looking car out of everybody. So the fact that the best looking car is not the best performing car, or at least contending, is suboptimal. So yeah, good to see Pato. I think a good Pato award and a good McLaren contending car is very good for the series. Their social media and their efforts behind the scenes is very good for the sport, and Pato is a very likable guy with a huge market behind him. So I really hope that he can continue to succeed, because that's really good for the series. I think obviously before we get to that, Palou earned his 11th podium since joining Ganassi, which is, I think, roughly 21 starts. If I'm not mistaken, 21 or 22 starts.
Yeah,
that's insanity, right? Like in this era of IndyCar to do that, I don't think gets enough. He doesn't get enough credit for that statistic.
He's off to one of those like Scott Dixon-esque seasons where 4 races in, he hasn't won this year, but he's leading the championship because he's got at least 2 podiums, three podiums in 4 races, and a top and a 7th at Texas, or an 8th at Texas.
Second, 7th, 3rd, 2nd.
Yeah. So, imagine another top 7 at Indy for double points, and he's pretty much locked himself into the top 3 for the season.
Yeah. So,
and that's very Scott Dixon. Maybe he'll win one and win the championship. So, I mean, mega season so far for Alex.
Yeah, and he is 25. This is according to Racing Reference, so I think they do it when they start the year. They count their age. But so he's 25. Pato's 23. And Renus, I think, is 21. That's a very young
average
podium.
age for the podium, I think, was like 22.7. I know somebody posted about it.
That's insane. So that's crazy. Renus, obviously, shout out to him. He led one of the practice sessions. Everybody's like, oh, okay. And then he comes out and gets pole. It's like, all right. And then he leads. And if you want to pole on the season, Barber would probably be top 3 that you would want, because
Yeah.
it's very hard to work your way up, and there's
Yeah.
very often not a single yellow, or if there is, there's one, maybe the first couple laps. So good for him. He converted it into podium. Obviously, he would love to have gotten a win. He did mention that he does need to work on pushing it on the in laps. He said he felt he played it a little safe there on the final one, which is where Pato got him. But nonetheless, very good job. And he's going into the Grand Prix event where he's been very strong at, where he's gotten his one career win.
Before we talk about kind of the main event of the weekend, shout out to Callum Ilott. Despite kind of pushing a little too hard and spinning there, it's pretty impressive to finish top 10 both practice sessions, 12th in qualifying or 11th in qualifying because of Ericsson spinning, and kind of contending for a top 10-ish in the race before he went a little wide and had a spin. But pretty impressive for a small team like Juncos to show pace this weekend, at least.
Yeah, and I think he remembered that Frenchie picked him, so
yeah, he's like, we can't have that.
Can't have this. So good job by Callum. Obviously, I think he is exceeding expectations in these sessions. I think the race sessions, there are a lot of obstacles that are not helping him in races, mainly just with the team side of things, with engineering and strategy and slow pit stops and things like that are going to set him back. So I think for us, really needed to judge him based on what he's going to do in practice and qualifying. And obviously the mistake in the race was largely his own doing, but got to give him credit for showing the pace. But the biggest talking point, obviously, was the incidents, plural, between Graham Rahal and Romain Grosjean. To boil it down, Rahal thinks that Grosjean is being overly aggressive in certain situations. James Hinchcliffe, even in the broadcast booth for the collision at Turn 5, the two or three that they had, he said something along the lines of that looked like he was targeting him or something. He was deliberately driving into Rahal at the exit of the corner. Grosjean said something to the effects on the radio that he closed me off or didn't give me a lane or something. And Rahal said, "This guy's a punk." Where do you kind of stand on the whole happenings there?
Well, I'm sure, based on social media yesterday, that my take will get some F1 fans riled up. But so the first time when Grosjean kind of dive bombs into the hairpin there, it's like, all right, a little too deep on the brakes to make it work, but not the worst thing ever. But when he exits the corner, I don't know if he necessarily hits Graham on purpose, but he definitely does not turn back to his lane. Like, he definitely kind of allows his car to squeeze Graham off. So if anything, like, he pushed Graham off, not Graham pushing him off or squeezed him off or whatever he said. So that was the one where I don't know if it was like the most dirtiest thing I've ever seen, but it wasn't that great.
He didn't try not to hit him.
Yes, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And I don't think that makes him a dirty driver, but he seems to find himself in a lot of situations this year where you're going, was it Grosjean or was it the other guy? And eventually that level of doubt among IndyCar drivers is going to catch up with you. And Rahal was pissed this weekend. Herta was pissed this weekend. Rossi was pissed this weekend. You need to make friends at some point.
What happened with Rossi and Grosjean? Did I miss that?
I missed what happened on the track other than when Rossi was in mega fuel save at the end and Grosjean had pace. The team said, hey, let Grosjean by. And he wasn't thrilled, but did. But I know something else happened this past weekend, but also listening to his show with Hinch, it was sometime in the last 3 weeks, he kind of alluded to like, yeah, that guy's my teammate, but he's not my friend. Like, definitely there was some like subtle shade being thrown there.
Because I do remember when Grosjean was announced to replace Hunter Ray, that they mentioned it for like 3 seconds. They're just like, Alex, do you want to talk about the new teammate coming to your team? He's like, sure don't.
Yeah. So
and that was it.
I don't know if it's, back to their shared F1 days or last season, but yeah, and the vibe I've gotten from talking to other people associated with the 27 car is none of them are particularly fans of Grosjean.
Which is weird because you see him after the race and you see his social media and you see his interactions with the fans, you see his interactions with the media. A+, right? A++.
Yep.
100% nice guy, professional. You hear his comments about the collision with Rahal after the race, kind of doing like, shucks, why me? I don't know what he's talking about. Just fun racing. This is what makes IndyCar great, blah, blah, blah. But then you hear his radio message 3 seconds after it happens, and he's like, he cut me off. Like, what the hell is he doing? This guy's a punk. And it's just like, well, which is it? Is it he's closing you off and he's not racing you respectfully and he's doing you dirty, or is it just like hard fun racing? And I know that, like, the passing of time heals all wounds, as lighting says. And I don't know if by the time he gets to settle down after the incident in the post race that he gets a chance to catch his breath and like reflect on it or what. But yeah, you hear the comments coming from various people, and you kind of want. I mean, Rahal said he's overstayed his welcome. I love Graham Rahal in IndyCar. I think we need more people like him. You get the bots on Twitter like, he's just daddy's money. Like, no, I mean, there was a time there from 2013 to 2014 where I think a lot of people were like, is this really going to work? Like, he's had 2 straight years of just ass performances. And then 2015 come around and he was with the Aero kits that he just thrived. And I think ever since then, he's been a top 10 IndyCar driver. I don't think top 5 would necessarily be fair, but he's definitely got a ton of talent. And not only that, he's fun for the series. Like he causes, I won't say causes drama. He's not afraid to speak his mind, which has repercussions at times, but I think a lot of people like that and appreciate it. There's definitely the contingency that's like, he's just a whiny little jerk and whatever, daddy's money. But I think we need more people with honesty like Graham. So I appreciated his comments after the race, especially since I was kind of on his side in this situation. But even if I wasn't, I'd be like, well, at least he's speaking his mind and not really afraid of the repercussions. So I think the overstay is his welcome part, though I don't agree with, because Grosjean does have a lot of upside for IndyCar, obviously on the commercial side and on the fan side. And it gets people talking, especially when he's involved in something. Now, when it was the corkscrew incident with Johnson, it's like, wasn't Johnson in the lap down or whatever? So like that didn't matter. Like, sure, he bowled him into him and it looked really cool in slow motion and he got to like laugh about it after the race, but that wasn't really for position. So it didn't really matter per se, versus like This was with, 5 laps to go that he's battling someone for a top 10 spot. And Graham just happens to be someone who's not going to just say, shucks, whatever. And I wanted to be a fly on the wall between him and Rossi to see what they were actually talking about after they ran out of fuel on the cooldown lap. Because Rossi kind of
texted me.
Rossi kind of seemed like he agreed with whatever Rahal was saying.
I 100% agree. Shannon texted me. She's like, "Can you get Rossi or Rahal into the press conference because I want to know what they're talking about together right now?" And I could not, but I'm sure they agreed, but. First, I know Rahal and Grosjean did speak at some point Sunday after things cooled down. So, that's obviously also what you want to see. On the other hand, so was it St. Pete, Grosjean kind of barreled into Sato in practice.
Yeah.
Texas, I don't think anything happened. Then Long Beach, he either almost barreled into Sato in practice or kind of like tire tapped him a little bit. I forget exactly what. And now this. So he's definitely driving a little bit more kind of like the Grosjean we remember from F1 a handful of years ago.
Grosjean circa 2012.
Yeah. So, and I mean, listen, that's okay. I don't think he's a bad driver or anything negative, but it's interesting.
Yeah. So we'll keep our eyes on that. I think because Rahal also alluded to the fact like there are a lot of others in the paddock that agree with me. So I wonder who they are and if people are going to start taking sides, because I can kind of guess some of those would include Rossi, Herta, Daly, Sato. I don't know about the Ganassi camp. I don't know what they think of him, but we'll see. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I have a Connor Daly question for you.
Uh-oh.
So we're 4 races into the year.
Mm-hmm.
Rinus VK, pole, podium, and he's been pretty quick for the most part this year.
Mm-hmm.
Every race weekend, Connor Daly tweets like didn't find the right time, but got fastest lap of the race or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know how to ask a question, but are we a little worried about Connor Daly outside of the Indy 500 at least?
It depends on what sense. It seems like he has a sponsor that loves him, and it seems like Ed Carpenter likes him.
Fair.
I think it was kind of eye-opening with Road America last year when, you and I talked about it, where he said, Oliver jumps in the car and out-qualifies him, and Connor, like, straight up admitted, like, I don't know if this car with this team, I don't know if I can just get to grips with it as quick as some of the other guys here. And it's like, yeah, that might be it. Because he did
maybe last year going okay, but now where you're in week out in the same car, year 3 of ECR or year 4, I forget at this point. But I mean, it's time to at least show top 10 pace. Like, has he been top 10 in a practice session this year? Not that I recall.
I'm not sure.
I'm not saying he's not talented. Don't slaughter me on social media, but he's not having a good year right now.
No, and it doesn't help that Rinus, gets pole and then finishes on the podium.
Correct.
And it's, I mean, there's a couple things you could speculate. I ultimately think he's not meshing with the team as well as he could in some sort of regard, because, part of me wanted to say, oh, maybe it's just the aero screen, the addition of the aero screen. Has he gotten used to it? Has he gotten up to speed with the weight and things like that? But the first year the aero screen was when he was with Carlin on the ovals, and got a pole, ran pretty well.
Yeah,
place like Gateway and whatever. So I just don't know what is missing, but the better Rinus does, the worse it looks on Connor. And yeah, I thought a change of scenery was needed after last season, and I don't think this year has changed my mind. I would love to see if that Bitnile was tied to Ed Carpenter, or if he could take that to somebody else next year, because I think a desperate change of scenery is needed for Connor, because he's awesome. He's a fantastic driver. Something is clearly not working, though. And I do agree. I think that the tweets after, where it's had a good pace and had the fastest out lap of the race, but unfortunately couldn't. I was like, oh. Like, okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, just move on. I get it. You're trying to be positive, and that's a good thing, but I don't know. But, Bitnile, they bring a lot of money. Money is green.
Great sponsors.
Great sponsors. And speaking of great sponsors, Athletic Greens. Segway, swing and a miss. Athletic Greens, which Frenchie uses every day because he wanted, mine still hasn't arrived, better health, more energy, optimized immune system. If you hate taking pills and want a supplement that actually tastes great and you want to see what all the hype is about, go to athleticgreens.com/emerging. With 1 scoop of delicious Athletic Greens 1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. The special blend of ingredients supports gut health, nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. I can't make the aging joke more than one time a month or so while they're on board here. So it is lifestyle friendly, whether you're vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, et cetera, no GMOs, only 1 gram of sugar, no nasty chemicals or artificial flavorings, supports better sleep quality and recovery and mental clarity. And your subscription, if you go to athleticgreens.com/emerging, also comes with a year's supply of vitamin D plus 5 free travel packs. And I'll keep this one short this week. So again, athleticgreens.com/emerging to get your year supply of vitamin D, your athletic greens, and 5 free travel packs. What do we have left? Predictions and driver of the day and that fun stuff.
Sorry, I was muted.
I saw.
Last week after the episode, we did take Frenchie to the woodshed and made sure that he retracts his statement that it tastes bad and that it's the best tasting thing that he's ever tasted in his entire life. So
Yes,
that is Frenchie approved, and the French have excellent taste buds. So 2 more things before I get to driver of the day and predictions. The first is the lack of consistency from Colton Herta driving you nuts?
bonkers. I just feel like he's out to show the world that he's an amazing driver because he has this F1 test driver contract and, is being talked about in the F1 sense. And, the internet is anti-Colton Herta. The F1 internet is anti-Colton Herta because he's American. So he's maybe putting some pressure on himself, but you just got to take the points some weekend. Like, he was probably going to finish 6th or 7th, and he just wait, just be patient. Instead, you spin. Luckily, he was able to recover it and didn't get stuck. But yeah, it's two races in a row. He's screwed himself out of a decent chunk of points, including a win.
Yeah, it's infuriating, especially when you look at him. The qualifying session could have gone better, obviously, with the getting caught out. But he's no question about it. He's a top 3 talent in the series. And just
easily
to see him, what is he, like 11th in points right now because of kind of self-inflicted stuff / bad pit stop / not fueling the car / whatever. Basically, there's a lot of variables playing against him, affecting his result. Some are self-inflicted, some are not. And really, there's no reason right now why he shouldn't be 4th in points, 5th in points, maybe.
Yeah, top five, yeah.
Yeah, there's 0 reason. So it's infuriating to see something like the pass attempt on McLaughlin. Like, that's easily avoidable. Locking up into the wall in Long Beach is avoidable. On the team side, not fueling the car enough in Texas is infuriating. So I think it's going to come. He's going to, get back to winning. He'll probably win 2 to 3 races before the end of the season. But just got to limit what you can limit. And like you said, McLaughlin finished 6th. So there's nothing wrong with the 7th after qualifying 10th at Barber. Like, it is what it is. And he went for a 3-stop, didn't work out. Pack it in, move on. Because who was the best of the 3-stop? Grosjean, Rahal.
Grosjean, yeah.
Grosjean and Rahal. No, was Rahal?
Rahal's 2-stop.
Okay, so Grosjean, Herta, Ericsson, Newgarden. So he would have been the best of the 3 stops. So I don't know.
Actually,
you just got to kind of know.
I can look it up for you here.
You've got to know when it's your day, not your day, and just kind of call it a day and take what you can get.
Grosjean was a 3-stopper, then Herta was the next 3-stopper, then Ericsson, if we're going just outside of the top 10.
So could have been the best 3-stopper had he kind of tried to pack it in and find a better time to pass McLaughlin. But let's see. The only other one I wanted to touch on was Elio up to his usual tricks. Driving like an asshole and wrecking people for no reason. So he got a penalty for spinning Jimmy Johnson. I'm not surprised at all in any way or shape or form. This is vintage Elio. So he continues to conform to my narrative of one of the greatest Indy 500 drivers of all time. But outside of that, we'll say average at best.
Definitely not off to a great start this year.
Nope. And a good job by Pagano finishing P11. I think Pagano has done enough to solidify himself as kind of the go-to driver of that team. Obviously, if / when Elio outperforms at an Indy, his championship points will probably be inflated per se, but ultimately I think Pagano is kind of the hot hand there right now. So Who was your? I did my driver of the day. Will Power already kind of jumped the gun. Who was your driver of the day?
I will take. Well, since you just mentioned him, I'm gonna take Simon Pagenaud. Not a super sexy result in P11, but starting 24th, finishing 11th definitely helps your points and helps you stay in the championship hunt to some degree. And he will probably be a contender for an Indy 500 win. So he maximized the most he could get after a rough Saturday.
And who is your disappointment of the day?
Let's see here. I'm looking at the results. Felix Rosenquist plummeted 9 spots, probably 5 or 6 of those right before the last pit stop. I think is when he started the fall off, and then I think he was in fuel safe at the end there. And yeah, not a good weekend, or not a good Sunday.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Joseph Newgarden. When you're not finishing first, you have to finish around 15th. Obviously the 3-stop kind of burned him, but you look at Grosjean and Herta and Ericsson, who were able to slightly recover. Obviously Ericsson did finish outside the top 10, but for Newgarden, I'm not quite sure what happened on that final stint, because he was kind of lingering around Grosjean after the yellow, and obviously something happened somewhere to the extent where he was way behind him. So
I think he had to save fuel, because guys like him and a few others, they pit on lap 10. So they pit real early in the race. It was either lap 10 or 11. And eventually that catches up to you.
Yeah, I would have thought the yellow would have negated that, so that they all would have been on the same kind of, if they all had to pit at once. Something happened somewhere where certain guys had to save fuel and certain guys didn't, whether that was their final stop, if they had to pit early or whatever. But so yeah, obviously disappointing that the championship leader only got 14th and it's now jumped there. You dropped to P3. So
yeah,
maybe some more. I mean, obviously winning's great, but consistency, as Polo is already proving, is key. Predictions for winner. You had Pato, so congratulations. Frenchie had Polo, so also congratulations. Shannon had McLaughlin, 6. It's fine. I had Ericsson, not fine. Dark Horse top 10. Shannon had Harvey. No, that's looking as likely as his top 5 championship. You had Kirkwood. He got really screwed on an early pit stop, but somehow finished. I think he finished on the lead lap, didn't he? He finished
don't think down, so.
But he did beat both of his teammates.
Yeah.
So despite the 30-second pit stop going a lap down early, still didn't finish last on the team. Frenchie had Ilott. Thanks, Frenchie. And I had Sato. And I think Sato finished 13th. So you got pretty damn close. Most struggle, Shannon had Pato. Shannon did not have a good week. Host had McLaughlin. Frenchie had Pagenaud. Not really. I had Grosjean. Not really. First out, nobody got it right because nobody was out. And then best rookie was Lundgaard. 4 wheels and an engine, baby. Let's go. Frenchie had Ilott, you had Kirkwood, and Shannon had Baby Mac. So
funny story about 4 wheels and an engine. At some point, was it this weekend or was it yesterday? I don't remember. It might have been Sunday when I was driving back. But Cassie Johnson texted Frenchie and I, and she said, "What the hell is 4 wheels and an engine, and why do you guys talk about it every IndyCar episode?" So we explained to her, and she thought it was funny, and such is life. But I did run into him this weekend, and he was very friendly. So I'm not saying I totally. Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Me and Frenchie are on a mission to civilize you, and step 1 is to get you to like Christian Lundgaard. So we are.
Well, Frenchie's on my side on that one.
No, he's not.
Yeah. I guarantee you he is.
I'll show you the messages after the episode. Sorry, Frenchie, I'm ratting you out.
I mean, listen, I think he's talented. I will say that. Like, I don't think he's a untalented driver or anything negative. Just that if the interaction was a little rough the first time. But
yeah,
he was very friendly this weekend, so maybe I can be convinced.
Yeah, I just got to get past all of our political talk. We like to take our politics off of Twitter sometimes and just rant to each other instead.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing.
The only thing I had is that wasn't Barber related was that the 33rd entry was officially guaranteed, or is officially going to happen based on the entry list that has been finalized. However, we still don't know who it is, but all signs are pointing to some sort of Dragon Speed, Foyt, something, Don Cusick, something, Stephen Wilson, something.
Yay.
That's really the only news that there was outside of the race weekend this week. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to bring up or...
No, I think that's a good place to end it. But yeah, I'm pumped to see Stefan back. Hopefully, this smorgasbord of a team can be relatively competitive. So I'm excited to see how they do, and look forward to being able to. I just can't talk. We're going to end the episode. Everybody have a lovely weekend of racing and enjoy the F1 race. Oh, sorry.
No,
Yes.
I had one.
Yes.
I found it. I'm going to start cheering for Lundgaard with you to annoy Host and Shannon. He says, you already dislike Elio, so I might as well join you on the Lundgaard fan club too. And this was on April 10th.
All right.
There you go.
All right. I see how it is.
Yeah.
Well, one of you can still stay in my house in 2 weeks. The other is on
we're both
questionable
fans of
grounds.
them.
I know. That doesn't make any sense. I know. Clearly, I'm very tired. It's been a super long Tuesday. I've been up since about 4:00 in the morning. So
I'm going to text him right now just to fill him in. But yeah, hey, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, everybody. Now you can have a lovely weekend of racing.